Welcome to Active and Healthy with Gina. And just to prove that you can do your 10 minutes of Ageless Grace exercises absolutely anywhere, I've chosen a golf course today. We're out at Steenberg Golf Estate in the Western Cape. Beautiful grounds, beautiful winter's day, and we're just going to do our 10 minutes of exercises right here. So if you see me duck, it's because the golf ball's heading my way, but hopefully we should be okay. The 18th tee is that direction, not right here. So I'm going to incorporate a little bit of golfing in one of our exercises that we do, which is called Team Fit. But to start with, we're going to hit the music, and we're going to start with an exercise we call Spelling Bee, and we're going to spell the 9 provinces. So let's get started. Elbow up, we're going to spell the word Western. So a W, and then an E, and then an S, and a T, and an E, and an R, and an N. So we've got Western Cape. Over here, we've got the Northern Cape. So this one's going to be now in big block capitals. So think how we spell Northern, N-O-R, and then a T, H, E, R, N. So we got Western Cape, Northern Cape, Eastern Cape. So we're going to do this now with little letters with our finger. Eastern. Cross that T, E, R, N. Now with our head, we're going to write the word Cape in big capital letters. So you're using your whole head and neck and body. Cross that A, doing a big capital P and an E. Okay, so that's the Eastern Cape. Where else? KwaZulu-Natal. Let's be writing with our foot in the air. So we're doing K, W, A, KwaZulu. Just having to think about this. Z, U, L, U. And then on the floor, we're going to write the words Natal, still in capitals. Very good. Other leg, we're going to do Limpopo. So let's do L. I'm doing this still in big capital letters. M, Po, Po. Is that right? You can always rub it out if it's wrong. How about that nice, beautiful, long one? Mpumalanga. So we're going to start it with a big M. We're doing this with our tummy button. Helps us move the whole of our digestive system. M, P, pum. This is when you find out if I can spell or not. M, pum, A. And then an L, langa. A, N, G, A. I don't think we did all the provinces, but just then we got some of them done. We'll save the rest for another day. Okay, the next exercise is all about being very expressive. It's all with our upper body, and we're going to pretend we're heading off to the clubhouse for a cup of coffee. So we're going to walk on in, we're going to open the door, let the door close behind us, pull out a chair, sit down, open the menu. Then the lovely little waitress comes up and she opens her book and takes your order. Cappuccino, chai latte, and a tea. Off she goes. And then she brings it back on a tray, lays the cups down on the table. You're using your imagination, you're using your body. What's your drink? I like a good cappuccino. We're not promoting anywhere in particular for today, but just wherever your favorite cappuccino comes from. So you've got to open up, tear one of those little packs of sugar, put it in, stir it with your spoon. Take the other hand, stir it the other way. Every time you do something the opposite direction, your brain has to stop and think. It is part of this being, brain health fitness. Teaspoon on the side, pick up your cup. Is the finger out or not? Tastes good. And another. And maybe your chai latte is in one of those nice long glasses with a long spoon. So, it's a different type of way of stirring. And then maybe they bring some nice little sandwiches. Yum. What sandwiches do we like? Cheese and pickle. Gotta be playful, gotta be creative. Call the waitress for the bill. Open your bag. Take out the money. Maybe it's a guy. Okay, open your jacket. Take your wallet out. Card machine, right, there it is. Put in your numbers. Sign the little bill. Push open that door again. You're somewhere beautiful like Steenberg and you're going to stop and look at the view. And suddenly you see your friend coming down the 18th tee. And he says, do we promote drinking on the show? No, we don't promote drinking on this show. Sorry, with tea and coffee. What am I thinking? Coffee? Tea? It's what my husband always says. Tea? You can be eating, drinking, anything you like, but have fun in the process. Just use your imagination. What about choosing from a selection of juices? Now, what juices are we going to have today? They've all got their caps on, so we're going to reach, pick one up, try turning the cap lid and take it off. That one is not going to shift. Put it down. Oh, maybe we're going to have to try the pineapple juice today. Ah, that comes off a whole lot easier. Pour it into a glass. Nice pineapple juice, very refreshing. Particularly after a good game of golf. Me, I'm happy with another cappuccino. More sugar? Not that I have sugar in my coffee, of course. Just playing with it, using my imagination. Too much sugar is bad for you, by the way. This show's Active and Healthy with Gina. Don't ever forget that. And one of the subjects we are going to be covering is going to be better health and the kind of things you should be having less of. But never stopping having lots and lots of fun in the process. So as we're out here in the beautiful golf course, I'm inspired by the fact that we can play golf. Now, I've got no idea, but you know, you can get to see them walking down and they're pushing their carts, coming up to the tee. They're taking a look at where their ball is, where the hole is. They're reaching in and getting one of their, I want to say bats, but I've got a feeling that's definitely the wrong word. Right, walking around the side now. And now you're supposed to hold your golf thing. What is it? Golfing, you know what I mean. Okay. We're just going to do a little putt. Watching it going in. Didn't quite go in, so you've got to go in there and finish up with a final putt. Okay, now we're walking off to the next tee off point. And we're going to get one of our drivers out. So we reach in, pull off its little cap. They often seem to have very funny caps on them, I notice. Now we're going to turn and do a really fancy golf shot here. It's one hand lower and one higher. We're going to take it behind us. Up. Did that go a long way or not? I think we missed it altogether. Oh, they always practice first, don't they? You always see the golfers practicing one or two shots before they actually hit the thing. Okay, here we go. That's a long drive. I think I'm supposed to finish up over here, aren't I? As you can see, Gina has absolutely no idea what she's doing. She's just imagining what it would be to play golf. Okay, we're going to try now with the other side. And just a little putt on this side. Heading for the hole. I'm trying it now with my other hand. Would I be any better playing left-handed? The answer is absolutely no, and I do know that you have different shaped drivers going different directions depending on whether you're right or left-handed. Again, imagination, brain health, be playful, just inspired by being in the great outdoors. Now, we're going to finish up today working on balance points. Key balance points that we work on in Ageless Grace are the inner ear, on our core and on our feet. Between our second and third toe is a key balance point. So we're just having these toes in front of us and we're just going to drop the heels down, up. So both heels are going down and up and down and up, down and up, down and up. And let's alternate, one up, one down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So you're thinking balance, balance. Now on both toes together, up, and I want you to just press out and in. So we're pressing in and out. So imagine just stepping on a little red dot on the floor. Balance, 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 balance. Keeping your balance as you age is one of the most important issues that concerns people. So doing simple little exercises, even when you get out of bed or when you're sitting in a chair, are useful. You can even be pulling your ankles towards you. So imagine having a piece of string on the toes, you're pulling that towards you, you're strengthening the ankle joint. You want to stay strong, you want your feet strong, maintain balance. Now thinking about the core, think of your tummy button being pulled towards the spine, you're taking one leg up, keeping your tummy tight and lowering it towards the ground but not touching. You go up and down, up and down, up and down. Relax that tummy. Once more on the other side. Pull it in, keep it tight. Just take it up and down for a few. Try not to touch the floor. Keep breathing. So we're doing a lot of things at once. Our tummy is tight. Our leg is moving up and down. And we're still breathing. So there we are. 10 minutes of Ageless Grace. A little bit of movement that got the joints moving, got the imagination moving, got the expressiveness moving. Okay, so I can't play golf. Forgive me. I was just inspired by this wonderful setting. So I hope you had fun joining me at Steenberg Golf Estate, and I look forward to seeing you. We're going to go to break. You know what the rule is. Go off, get yourself some water, stay hydrated, and I'm going to look forward to seeing you for the second half of the show. Welcome back to Active and Healthy with Gina. I hope you enjoyed our first session of exercise. You've grabbed yourself some water, you're hydrated, and I hope maybe you've even got pen and paper today, because I am delighted and honoured to have a very, very special guest with me. I also going to take this advantage because we're a few weeks away from the Sunflower Day. It's coming up in September. I'm wearing my taupe of hope, so I hope that you've got down to Pick and Pay, that you have gone and bought yours. Lots of wonderful colours. This is a great fundraiser, a really, really worthy cause. You know that Faisal of Deen TV is a big supporter, so I really want to encourage you all, please, the viewers, to be able to get your one as well. So, as I said, a huge privilege, a huge honour today to be able to welcome a very special guest, Professor Tim Noakes. He is an emeritus professor. He is the founder and the director of the Noakes Foundation, and is renowned for his work among nutrition and among sports. So I want to say welcome, Prof. Noakes, and thank you so much for being a friend of Deen TV and for coming and sharing a little bit of time with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Gina.
Wonderful, wonderful. So can you tell us about your passions? Obviously your name is known, and the connection with the low carbohydrate, high fat, the Banting program. Tell us how you came to that, and
Sure.
Particularly, as you know, we're looking to, the show is particularly aimed for healthy aging. We're looking at our senior demographic, our elders, and it's to encourage them on the types of things that they should be eating to stay healthy as they age.
Great. Well, Gina, I trained as a medical doctor and discovered I was more interested in science and prevention of disease rather than the treatment. And so in 1976, I went straight into science and then developed sports science and sports medicine to a large extent in South Africa. And during that time, I was researching carbohydrates. We, with Bruce Fordyce and a few other people, developed the first carbohydrate replacement in the world for use during exercise. And for 33 years, I promoted a high carbohydrate diet.
Okay.
The end result was that I developed type 2 diabetes myself as a result of all those high carbohydrates and the fact that the genes for diabetes are very strong in our family. I have the worst possible genes.
Okay.
And then exposing myself to this high carbohydrate diet for 33 years was enough to push me into type 2 diabetes, despite the fact that I'm a physiologist, a doctor, a scientist. I've read everything. And the question is, why didn't I know? Because it's been absolutely suppressed.
Right.
All the information on the low carbohydrate benefits has been suppressed. So I discovered in 2010 that I was wrong, and I had a choice. I could say, well, actually, I'm not going to admit that I was wrong, and let's continue to hurt all these people by telling them to eat high carbohydrate diets. Or I could choose to say, oops, I made an error. It's time to change. And that's what I chose to do, because I'm an honourable person. I couldn't continue to spread the wrong information.
It's a big step to do that and make a change from here to there when everyone is used to you supporting one
Absolutely.
concept and then changing to something else. So it takes a big man to be able to say, I was wrong and this
And the
doesn't
consequences of the change for me was that I was charged with unprofessional conduct.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the most important thing I ever achieved was right in this room. I was filmed for a film called Serial Killers, tearing out the pages of my book, Law of Running. And that was seen by a billionaire in the United States. And he said, we're going to sort this problem out. And he developed a company called Virta Health.
Right.
And Virta Health will be publishing in December their first clinical trial, in which they took 200 people with type 2 diabetes, and they've shown remarkable regression. 97% of the people are either off insulin or have reduced the insulin dose. And they have reversed type 2 diabetes in a good proportion of these people. And this is completely novel because we were taught, and we are taught, and we teach
Absolutely.
that diabetes is irreversible. It is not. It is a disease that is caused by carbohydrates, and this is the disease that has taken over in this country.
And for yourself, because you said you were diagnosed as type 2, where do you stand now?
Well, my fasting glucose this morning was 5.3, which is completely normal.
Okay.
I take medication, otherwise you wouldn't know I was diabetic.
Right.
So I'm very well controlled. Now, if I'd gone the conventional treatment route, I would be 30 kilograms heavier today.
Yes.
I would be on insulin. I would have renal damage. I probably would have had a stroke perhaps, or eye damage, but I would have started to show the symptoms of the disease. And at the moment, I don't have any of those symptoms. I'm not saying I'm absolutely perfect, because I'm not, because I have type 2 diabetes, so I'm going to carry some risk.
Right.
But I've absolutely minimized the risk by lots of physical activity, but more importantly by eating this low carbohydrate diet.
Well, those are incredible statistics if you can take a group of people that big and get that big a percentage improvement, which is fantastic because, as you say, diabetes is a major health issue in many countries.
It is the biggest medical problem in the world. There are 400 million diabetics globally. There are 40 million with HIV. And this country focuses on HIV and just ignores diabetes. And you ask, why do they ignore it when we know the cause? And the answer is because the cause is driven by industry, and industry control governments, and governments are not going to throw away their connections to industry.
The food industry's got a lot to answer for, that it kind of drugs us with all the things that makes us soporific and act like little zombies because we consume too much carbohydrate and too much sugar.
Precisely. And
it's a shocker.
And the only way we can change it is by changing the people.
Yeah.
The people have to demand that things change.
But it's got to be education, hasn't it? As you say, most people, even you, with all your wonderful experience, wasn't even aware of the damage that it did.
Yeah, so because my profession suppresses 90% of the information, so you get 10% of the information.
Right.
So when anyone reads, and anyone watching us today, what they're reading in the media is 10% of the truth.
Okay.
And they're getting the 90% is suppressed, and it's being suppressed actively by professors in the medical profession.
Okay.
Throughout this country, throughout the world, they are suppressing the truth. And you have to ask, why do you suppress that information when, if we were just to accept it, the health of the population would increase dramatically?
Wonderful. And I know that the Noakes Foundation has a wonderful program, Eat Better South Africa, which is encouraging and teaching people exactly the right kind of things that they should be eating.
And most importantly, that's on 30 Rand a day. So people say the Banting diet is expensive, and therefore we can't give it to the poorer people.
Yeah.
So we must, because they're poor, they must eat this bad diet and get sick.
Right.
And no one asks the question, well, what's the cost of all the illness?
Yes.
So the answer is, we'll just keep feeding them bad foods and we'll treat them, and with more hospitals and more doctors, which we can't afford. And now we've got a national insurance program, which will go bankrupt because you can't sustain it. The National Health Services in Britain has gone bankrupt because diabetes alone will destroy all these programs. And wouldn't it be better to say, actually, we know what's causing diabetes, why don't we address it? So we also do research on the people we put on the Banting diet in these poor communities, and they start to get better within 3 weeks of cutting the sugar and cutting out the grains, the cereals and the grains, and the refined carbohydrates. They start to get better.
It's wonderfully rewarding to see a very, very fast result.
Absolutely.
So, and the program is a 6-week program.
That's correct, because that's what we can afford at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that we're going to be looking and encouraging people that they can make donations so that we can spread the word and really help educate, particularly people in the lower economic levels who don't get the information and think it's okay to go and have a big, I shouldn't say whatever, a burger and a soda.
Yes.
As if it's that combination, isn't it? I'll have a double cheeseburger and a diet soda.
Yeah, as long as you eat the meat, you're fine, and the cheese, but it's not the bun and the chips.
Absolutely.
And the Coke.
It's all the other things that do the damage.
Yeah.
And as we know, it's that explosion of diet sodas in the States in the last 20 years, and obesity and sugar addictions just go up.
Yes, exactly. And there's strong evidence to link it to sugar in the diet. But the sugar industry has fought this for 50 years. They're very clever at the way they control it.
Well, it's a huge industry, isn't it? So
and the way they've controlled dietetics associations globally, that is not known. But most of the dietary advice you get is controlled by industry through the dietetics associations. And no one will acknowledge it. So when you go to a professional and they say you must eat a balanced, prudent diet in moderation, that is code for junk food.
Right.
Because therefore you can have some sugar, but sugar is not a food. Sugar is a drug.
Yeah.
And any food that has sugar in it is addictive, and that's essentially 80% of all processed foods have sugar in them.
It's slipped in such a way and in so many different types of form that very often people aren't aware that something will say that it's got fructose in it. Oh, and by the way, it's got dextrose in it and corn syrup. So they don't even think, well, it doesn't actually say the word sugar without realizing anything that is an O's actually is a sugar source. Is that correct?
You know, one of the first person who phoned me after reading The Real Meal Revolution, he phoned me and said, Tim, I lost 81 kilograms in 28 weeks. That's 7 months.
Wow.
He weighs 78 kilograms, so he lost half his body weight. And he said he was disgusted because he learned to read the labels. And then he said, I could never believe there was so much sugar.
Yeah.
And he realized I'm a sugar addict. And as soon as he cut that, he lost the weight. And 4 years later, he's looking fantastic. And of course, he reversed his diabetes without any need to go to doctors. He got rid of it.
It is one of those things. There's a program on British television called Embarrassing Bodies.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know of it.
Yeah, I know the name. I haven't watched it.
They had a recent episode on embarrassing fat bodies. And again, it definitely towed such a soft line that they had a woman and 2 sons, all obese. Yeah. And they encouraged her that they kind of worked out the calorie content. If she just cut out her 3 walnut whips a day, and she could carry on pretty much doing everything else. And they showed a picture of her dishing up a meal with potatoes that took up most of the plate and some stew. No further recommendation to look at the rest of the diet. It was, we'll just cut out those 3 little things. And it's too soft that there is... And that's when you know that the food industry, the medical industry are too involved in maintaining the status quo.
Yeah. Well, in this room
making the changes.
A week ago, I was consulting a lady of 180 kilograms.
Right.
Yeah. And she came to see me because she had seen a picture I'd shown of a guy who lost 130 kilograms. He's our South African record, AJ van der Walt, wonderful guy. He wouldn't mind me mentioning his name, 130
Fantastic.
Kilograms down.
That's inspiring
from
for others.
260 down to 130. No bariatric surgery, just he realized he was a sugar addict. He realized he was carb addicted, cut the carbs and started to exercise after he had lost the weight. You don't exercise and then lose weight. You first lose the weight by eating the right diet and then you start to exercise.
Because it's that shift on the percentages that we were talking about, it being 80% nutrition, 20% exercise, and you yourself said in the old days you used to feel it was the other way.
Other way around, exactly. And that's why I wrote the book Law of Running. And the first 4 chapters is all about how eating carbohydrates is healthy, etc., etc., etc. And I'm rewriting it now, and I'm saying it's got nothing to do with carbohydrates. It's your brain is the key to your health and your fitness.
So, I mean, I met a lady today who, a daughter of one of the residents at the old age home where I teach Ageless Grace, and she had a comrade's sweatshirt on.
Amazing.
So, and she said, yes, she'd done it a few years ago, and I said I was going to be talking to you and that you'd run a number. And so there we are. So the importance of sport and staying fit and healthy as well.
I must tell you, we wrote an article 2 years ago, and the title was You Can't Outrun a Bad Diet.
Yes.
It was ranked the 147th most important article in Science written that year.
Wow.
Out of 7 million articles, it received the 147th most interest. So that tells you that people are interested. Really, they're finally realizing that we got the diet all wrong, and we've got to sort out the diet. And that doesn't undermine the importance of exercise. Exercise is critically important. And the older you get, the more important it becomes.
Absolutely.
But you've got to get the diet right as well.
So she was saying that the law of running had been her Bible when she learned to do that.
Yes.
For me, when I did my one single marathon, age 26, I joined a running club and built my program up over 6 months. Yeah. But yes, I've never done, as you have, 70 plus marathons and ultra marathons, which is very, very impressive. So that's going to have helped to keep you fit and healthy. And
it didn't prevent my diabetics.
It did not.
So
no. Well, if you say if that's genetic and in the family history
yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
Professor Noakes and I have got so much to discuss that we're going to be able to make this part 1. So I hope that you have enjoyed our conversation. I want you to make sure that you're going to join us next week for part 2, when we're going to be discussing even more interesting subjects. And also, we're going to be able to show you at the end some information that you can go and look up on the Noakes Foundation. You can go and find out some more about EBSA, Eat Better South Africa, that we all need to take responsibility for what we put into our mouths so that we can be reducing our refined carbohydrates and our sugars, eating healthy. And I'm going to look forward to seeing you next week back for Active and Healthy with Gina.